Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. Today we're joined by our three new members of council, Nanda from the north part of town and her colleague, town councillor Scott Shee. Nav is the town and regional councillor. And from the southwest part of Oakville, Bronte, famous and strong, we have Councillor Johnathan McNeice. Johnathan, one of your proudest brags that I've ever heard is that you're eighth generation Oakville, or is it eighth generation Bronte? I guess technically 8 generations ago, Bronte was free and independent of Oakville.
That is correct, yes.
What happened?
Well, yeah, what happened there? So, I mean, I think Bronte's a really unique place. It was a village. It was a very humble place. It had many histories to do with grain export and, an industry that was called stone hooking that you can see in some of the buildings today down by what used to be called Stone Boats, and there's the Cove now, and the Glendella House has a foundation from the lake. So it was a really really unique and humble place. It did sort of amalgamate with Oakville. I think it was around 1964 or so. I wasn't around then, but typically those things happen when you're looking for more services and more efficiencies.
Oh, but it's funnier than that. Bronte petitioned to join Oakville in the early 50s,
right?
To get services, and when they got the bill, they petitioned to get out. And got out. And then in 62, the province of Ontario, in its infinite wisdom, merged everybody, and nobody had a choice. And 10 years later, they changed their mind and created the regional Halton. So once upon a time, there was a very activist provincial government. Now, Nav and Scott, you are in an area of Oakville that is pretty much the result of another era of activism from the Ontario government. We think around about 2/3 of the target size for award, and you're growing fast. Do you have any idea how soon you're going to hit the magic 30,000, where you're a fully fledged population-wise ward?
I think no more than 10 years that will be that.
Okay, I would bet you it's faster, but anyway.
I was gonna say, I think Bill 23 just made that grow faster now. I think we'll be there sooner than we think.
And when the ward's populations get out of whack from, divide the population by 7, and that's the appropriate size for each ward. Mm-hmm. There's going to come a point, I think, when we'll have to redraw all the boundaries.
Yes.
So don't get comfortable in the boundaries that you're in. You could wind up being 2 wards.
Maybe.
I saw that coming this last time, as Joshua Creek North is building up as well. It's a rapid growth, kind of how ours was rapidly growing when I first moved here. And then we decided to make a new ward, right?
And Johnathan, because of the growth up Bronte Road that's in the pipeline, so to speak, your ward could get bigger, more populous, and geographically and population bigger.
There's a couple factors there. I mean, up in Palermo, we share boundaries of Ward 7 and Ward 4. We sort of have an established area, but we're sort of counting on some of that growth and development to bring services and amenities. And then down closer to the GO station, I think it's a logical place for growth there. You've got rapid transit into downtown. If we can build that out as a complete community, then people can have all the services they need, hopefully within walking distance, and we can use some of those tools we're talking about, like inclusionary zoning, to help get the cost down and look at some affordable options there. And then down in Bronte Village, we need some renewal, but I think that doesn't have the infrastructure to support some of those higher growth areas. So we're a minor growth area. So we'll be getting a refreshing, but it's got to be sort of in context with the infrastructure that we have.
Yeah, the existing official plan of the town already provides that the Bronte area is one of 3 minor growth nodes.
Right.
And that was really the Kerr Street BIA area and the downtown BIA area, the other 2. And the premise behind them being minor was that they need some growth to make the businesses healthy, but not too much, I think was the spirit.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Nav and Scott, in your ward, there's a lot of, let's call it employment land in planner speak, but places for businesses and normal people like us in our language. How is the business growth in your area? Are you seeing a lot, or is it still normally it takes business lags population, and you won't know this yet, but when we build infrastructure, 80% of it is supposed to service residential and 20% is supposed to service business. And we, the taxpayers, pay for the 20% for business, and then we collect it back. I'm going to say when they show up, not if they show up. Yeah. But obviously, you know that there's an if there as well. So we've got room for business. How's it filling in?
I feel like it's growing rapidly. Again, I've been here since 2014, and I've seen the growth of the community, and especially the business community, our small businesses. I think what Councillor Chi and myself want to do is really support these businesses. We're trying to make complete communities. So through that, with their rapid growth as well, they're looking for a lot of support as well now within the community, and with having the residents come and use their services. And I think that's how we can build on that. I think it's important to be able to do that. Since I've been here for a long time, and even prior to this, having businesses reach out, we think it's going to be really important. They're going to be a really important part of our community.
Well, Scott, I know that you've been in community development for something like 25 years. We have BIAs across the South, as we just mentioned, business improvement areas, and that's a special designation that's available for cities to use. And what it does is it allows the businesses to have a special levy on themselves that they set in order to enhance the services, if they want services and other things in their area that the general population doesn't get. Have you been thinking about creating a BIA or trying to lead the creation of a BIA in Ward 7, I guess we'll call it?
Yes, absolutely. So Nav and I, we have this same idea. So we want to create our own BIA in the north in our ward. So we plan to do very soon. We create the small business forum. Maybe every month we can have some activities to gather all those business owners or even the entrepreneur. So we come together and we share the idea. We can promote the business. So this is something in our mind. So yeah, and we want to use all the channels to promote the local business, like use the social media, like a newspaper, even newsletter, and organize more events, showcase, and also because my background is at the university, so we do a lot of incubating programs. So how about we can offer some training and workshop to help the new business create a business plan, like financial management plan, how to go-to-marketing plan, and the branding. This is something we are thinking about this.
All right. Well, if you want my help, just whistle, and sure. I'll come to your assistance. Johnathan, we've just passed the budget for 2023, and normally I should footnote that I'm a retired businessman. I think our annual budget, which is from January to December, should be passed before January starts. But in an election year like this one, we're not allowed to do that. So we'll return to a more business-like approach in the next 3 years. But this year, we're at the end of February, and we now have a budget for 2023. We're 2 months in. How do you like the budget? What do you like best about the budget? Is there a big get for you? Something you're proud of?
Yeah, well, certainly being involved in the process was great. I've been city staff before, so I've seen it from the staff side, but to see it from the council side, and I attended every session, even though I wasn't on budget committee, And I was really pleased to see not just about what we're spending, but hearing from every department on where did we find efficiencies? What are we saving? So I think we came through with a minimal increase, knowing that inflation is going up, the cost of everything's going up, the cost of labor is going up, and we were still able to deliver some of our priorities for our community. So in Ward 1, we had a small line item there that was for some streetscaping for one street, and through my council colleague Amara, we sort of lobbied that we need cohesion in our streetscaping for the whole village, and we were able to get our colleagues to agree. So kind of going through those with a fine tooth comb, those items, you find some little things there where you see some opportunities. And down on our waterfront as well, we know that residents are concerned with the condition of some of the pathways and the sidewalks there. That as well is going to be a priority for this year. And then there was just, those were sort of additions, but it was great to see what was already in there. We're going to maintain our parks, we're going to improve our transit, and things like that. So.
Well, I know the thing I was most concerned about was making sure we had the money in the budget to fix the concrete out there and on the, by around the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, those are those sidewalks I was sort of talking about, that we know those are a priority from residents. So we were able to identify that with staff, and we certainly appreciate our council colleagues supporting us with that.
Yeah. So, there were a lot of kumbaya moments, I think.
Yeah.
A successful budget requires the councilors from 7 different wards to put water in everybody's glass of wine. It's more fun you put water in your own wine rather than reach over and do it to your colleague. But nevertheless, it's a process we're, I think, very skilled at here in Oakville. I'm just over the moon with happiness that our budget increase is half of what our neighbors is. Our overall tax increase is half of what other people are charging. So certainly, I hope it's a popular talking point with your residents. Nav and Scott, what about you? What's your take on the budget?
Yes, so as Johnathan says, so we are the new, so we are not on the budget committee this year, but we participate in every meeting. So we look into it, we learn it, and we are very glad to participate in this whole process. So I'm really proud of this. So yesterday we passed the free trans, this big project. I think this is have a long-term, really big impact for our community, for the seniors and the youth. So I believe, if I'm wrong, so Mayor Burton can correct me. So I believe Oakville is the first town or city in GTA or even in Ontario to have a free ride anytime for the seniors and the youth. Is that correct?
Technically, that's correct. Others have introduced and experimented with these concepts and gotten ridership increases, but they've either made it a pilot, which restricts people. I think restricts the number of people who want to invest the time to learn to use it, because they know, well, it's going to go away anyway, so why should I learn how to use it? And most other places have limited it to either a day or days or time zones. And we've been joined by somebody there, but don't worry about that. So yeah, I think there's a first there. I know that you were the champion for the seniors, and Councillor McNeice's colleague, O'Meara, was the one who prompted me to say, let's put all this together and do both ends of the age spectrum. So now we get to see how big a response we get. Councillor Nanda, what's your favorite takeaway from the budget?
I think what I most appreciate is that we were all, each of us in our respective wards, were able to listen to our residents and implement some of the things that they wanted, and that they wanted to see if they were going to have an increase in their taxes. What were we delivering in terms of services? And I really do feel we delivered. It was a great way to educate ourselves, as we said, none of us being on the budget committee this year. But I feel it's important that we all stay involved, that we all work together to be able to bring a budget together that's going to work for all of Oakville. We bring our individual asks in between, But at the end of the day, we need to all collaborate together to make sure that everyone is provided what they need.
Yeah, it's a lovely juggling act. Now, are each of you looking? So I have a question for you. Having sat through all of the committee meetings, are you looking forward to being on the budget committee, or are you rethinking being on the budget committee?
I'm actually excited because I'm on budget committee next year. So I feel like I feel this is all going to be fresh for this year for myself. And I got to learn a little bit about, okay, how you can ask for certain things and when to look for reports coming in. So I think the education piece was really important. And I think I'm glad that we had that going through it this term or this year. And for us to be able to do it in our subsequent years, we have the information we need to hopefully be able to do a good job on the committee.
Johnathan,
looking forward to it as well. I think on 2025, so it's definitely great to be able to learn first and then figure out, what is actually possible and how can we collaborate to get what's best for residents.
Yeah, I have more time to learn. I'm in 2026.
Oh, 4, 5, 6, right there. So it's important to me as a mayor that new councilors feel like they've been embraced and given, adequate, I hope, superb orientation. It sounds like you might be settling in fairly happily. Is that true?
Yeah, I think the onboarding has been great. I can say with each of the departments and just the staff as a whole, they've been very supportive. It's been very easy, very streamlined in terms of being able to get responses, being able to respond to residents' concerns, and having them get back to us in a timely manner. I think we're very appreciative of the work that town staff has done for us and the support that they've given us.
So Johnathan, you have a unique perspective because you've been on city staff side, looking at council's behavior, and I imagine you've probably seen a new councilor from time to time. So now that you're on the other side of the mirror, the table, or under a different hat, what's your take?
Yeah, so it's it's not too foreign to me. Certainly, I think it's a huge advantage just understanding our staff's perspective. Sorry, I've got a fire alarm going off here.
All right. Well, Scott, what about you?
Yeah, so as Nav and Johnathan said, this is a very new for us, and we got a lot of support, and we appreciate all the staff can provide their insight, comment, and also the knowledgeable skills to lead us to go into the deeper for those projects or for those meetings we need to discover and how we can make the good decision for our community. Yeah.
Good to know. Councillor McNeice, I hope your fire alarm was only a drill and that it's over. Well, it's not over, but it's only a test. All right. Well, we'll get back to you. What I wanted to also sort of, as we're coming to the end of the show, and it'd be nice to talk about the future, I think. So why don't we start with Nav and Scott, and then we'll see how they're doing in Councillor McNeice's building with the fire alarm test. What are your biggest hopes and plans for the rest of the term?
I think one of the biggest things we're looking at is working within the community. Safety is a big concern. We want to work with our stakeholders to be able to bring more safety to the community, working with Halton Police, and just being on the regional side, being able to give them the resources that they also need to be able to help the community. We're very excited about having our 60-mile sports complex. I don't think there can be anything more exciting than that. And having that fulfilled and hopefully opened on time, it's an exciting time. So that's one of the more positive things. And one of the things that we really want to look forward to is having a very positive term, having our residents feel that some of the infrastructure has been able to be put in place. We're working to advocate for more infrastructure and just building upon that as well. And then, and as we spoke about before, is supporting our local businesses. So again, we want to make this a complete community, and we hope together with all of us, with our council colleagues, with yourself, Mayor, with everyone working collaboratively, that we can make it a great place to live.
Yeah,
I think everybody shares that view. You know, we when we set out, your area was planned before anybody on council got on council, and that includes the folks that have been on for 22, 23 years. It goes way back. That's the crazy thing about planning. It has the longest tail of any process I've ever seen. It takes forever. But we always wanted to have North Oakville be a show place. And one of the hardest things we have to learn is that people drive infrastructure. Infrastructure, you know, nobody can afford to build the infrastructure before the people come in case they don't come. So, you know, there's a catch-up phase to infrastructure that you can regret. But when you look at the cost, you can understand. Scott? And by the way, I think, Johnathan, you're able to unmute now?
I'm good, yes.
Oh, all right. Did you want to finish what you were saying, or would you like to jump in on this?
Sorry, remind me where we left off there. That was...
Oh, we were talking about the planning in Bronte and everything. I have to joke. My wife and I are looking for a one-floor living solution, and we just looked at a place in your building, I think.
Oh, so. Yeah, well, it's we'll have to remember Tuesdays at 12:30 the fire alarm goes off. So.
All right. Well, we've shifted for the last 5 minutes of the show to talk about our hopes and dreams for the rest of the term. And Scott, maybe it's your turn, then we'll come back to John.
So I think for me, so is prioritizing our community well-being and the sustainability. This is, I think, it's very important. So we can continue to foster a strong and string community that our residents can be proud to call the home. So because in our world, and in the North Oakville, there is a lot of newcomers. There is a minority people there. They come to here for the education, for the quality of life. So this is something we and me also want to have to, how to say, is provide more opportunity to the communicate and engage with the residents in our world. Then can be create the most diverse and multicultural community to celebrate their cultures and encourage the inclusion and the diversity. So that's also, I believe, is one of the most important reasons to attract the newcomers all over the world to come to Oakville.
Well, I think the evidence and the record is that we have made ourselves attractive enough to draw people from all over the world. In my neighborhood, which is in Old Oakville, we have people from all over the world now. It's like the most wonderful mix of people and cultures that you could ever imagine. And when I look at the census, I for all the different parts of town, what I see is that same mix going on everywhere. Johnathan, what about you? Your big hopes for the term?
Yeah, so you know, certainly having a planning background, I think, seemed to appeal to residents. So, you know, in Bronte Village, we haven't had sort of a major planning effort since about 2005, and that's sort of how I got involved in urban planning to start with. And there's so many sort of moving parts right now where we've got sort of a Lakeshore Road reconstruction going on. We've got a Harbors master plan. We're hopefully going to get the lands down in the outer harbor. There's a couple buildings that may be underutilized. So I think going through a community process to wrap a solid plan and vision around all that stuff that's really driven by the community is going to be important in this term of council. And I think when I was out there door knocking, residents really, you know, it's post-COVID, they want to get out there, they want to be engaged. And I'm hoping to work with my council colleague to find fun and exciting ways to engage. We've got so many plans that are getting updated and renewed. just in this coming year with our transportation and our libraries. And, I get excited about that stuff, and I hope that our residents will as well. And then, we've got some mature neighborhoods as well, and they're concerned about things like traffic calming and making sure their streets are safe. And I think we're going to be able to do a lot for that in this term of council as well.
Well, that sounds great. Now we've got less than 2 minutes. So how about a rapid fire? I'll ask a rapid question, which is unusual for me, and we'll get a rapid response from each of you. And a very big thing that's going on right now, I immediately begin a long question, is the premier and the legislature are going around revisiting the organization or the structure of regional government. There's 6 or 7 regional governments. That's where like Oakville's lower tier municipality and it's under the umbrella of the region of Halton. And 10 days ago, the premier said that he was in favor of independence, single tier status for Mississauga and for Brampton, and for that matter, for Caledon, which is maybe the size of Halton Hills. And he seemed to indicate that the choices are single tier or a city of Peel or a city of Halton. And the in-between that we're in now is apparently not on offer. So which would you pick? City of Halton or independent municipality of Oakville? And there's only a few seconds, so say Halton or Oakville. Let's go with you, Johnathan.
Oakville.
Nav?
Oakville.
Scott?
Oakville.
I think I'll vote for Oakville too. All right, it's been delightful chatting with you, and I hope our viewers have gotten to know you better. And I hope they can see what high quality people they've elected to your seats. And as always, if you need anything or if I can help you, reach out. I'm here to help. Thank you for watching today, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Oakville Matters.